I'm personally, I don't know about the players, but I'm personally a little disappointed we have a bye week this week. We've been playing pretty good football, and we've won 2 in a row, and you'd kind of like to keep the momentum going if you had the opportunity. But the bye week will give some of our guys that are beat up, they'll get healthy. Some of the guys that have been injured for most of the season, we'll get to see if they are ready to play or not, using the bye week to see if they're ready to play or not. So we could actually get healthier and be stronger because some of the veteran guys that could be back for the game. So there are positives to it. I wish we could keep going, though.
You mentioned briefly after the Hawaii game that Ezel Ruffin might be back. Have you learned anything in the past few days, or is there any more solidified update as to whether he'll be back?
He's going to practice this week. We'll limit his reps, but he's going to practice. Or maybe even going to put a red jersey on him because he's not supposed to run into anybody and he's not supposed to fall on the ground. And if he can get through this week without anything happening like that, he'll go full next week where he'll actually put pads on and run into people and everything. So hopefully he'll be back for the game.
And Jake Rocky?
Jake, they're being more careful with. I think he's going to do past Skelly this week. They're going to actually have him form tackling some of our scout team players without going to the ground and all that, and see how he feels after he does it. So they're not saying he's going to play at Nevada. They want to see how he gets through this week. They have a much better feeling that Ezel will be. And then Derek Largent got through the game without any ill effects, so he's back.
And the other guys who were hurt the other night, Cameron Kelly.
Cameron Kelly's a serious injury.
Is a serious?
He got in. Now you're asking me to be a doctor again, but it's compartment syndrome. His leg swelled up on him Saturday night where it got very painful, so they took him to the hospital and they operated on him at 3 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, Saturday night. He'll be in the hospital for up to 10 days. Now, this is only probably the 5th time since I've been coaching a long time. It's the 5th time I've had a player on our team that's had this. And they get well, but it's a long, drawn-out process. They open up their leg and let it drain until the swelling all goes down, and then they close them up, and then it's a 5 to 6 week rehab before they'll let them do anything full speed. So it's a serious deal. Now, I've been told horror stories when they're not caught in time, and it was caught in time, and he's going to be fine. So that part's good. What?
Both legs?
No, it's just one leg. Now you're going to ask which leg. I think it's his right leg, but I'm not sure.
But that was the result of an injury.
That happened during the game.
Sure.
And they don't seem like anything special or different. I mean, he got kicked. He was diving to make a tackle, and one of our other players was coming in there and either kneed him or kicked him in the calf. And so everybody thought it was a bruise, and they put ice on it, and at night it started hurting real bad, and they called the trainer, and the trainers took him to the hospital, and the doctor said, we need to open him up and let it drain. So
it's one of those scary ones where you actually are fearing for.
Yeah, I guess some health. Real, if it's not caught in time, some real bad things can happen. But it was caught in time, so he'll be all right. But it'll be a good 5 or 6 week rehab process.
What was he contributing? It seemed like a lot on special teams.
He was on all the special teams, and then he was a backup warrior safety, and had done a lot of really good things in practice.
So maybe more than anything, this will essentially slow his progress for next spring. Right now.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a chance that we can appeal, and I don't know the exact rule. I think he plays 40% of the plays in the first half of the season. If he's in on 40% of the plays in the first half of the season, he cannot redshirt. But if he doesn't play 40% of the plays in the first half of the season, there's a possibility that he could get a redshirt year. which would be the best thing for him and us, but I don't know how good a possibility that is. We got to play some extra games to get in the first half of the season for him.
Where do you guys stand with JJ and his a medical extension year on him?
He could come back next year if he chooses to. Jake Feely can come back next year if he chooses to. Because of injuries that have kept them from playing for 2 years, you can appeal for the 6th year. They've already been granted it. It's up to them if they want to come back.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in JJ's case, if he's an NFL prospect, I would say he wouldn't come back. I would say Jake, since he's missed so much time, that Jake will come back. That's just me guessing. But it's up to them if they want to come back or not.
JJ's, we kind of knew the time frame on Jake's. Did JJ's granting of that extra year come at about the same time, Rocky, or is that coming?
No, they just you only appeal when they enter their senior year.
Okay.
You only appeal, so we appealed for both of them at the beginning of this year, and they both are granted a 6th year if they want. And you have to prove that you've been injured. Injuries have prevented you from playing in 2 seasons, the majority of 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And that's true with both of them. Now, some guys, they don't want to play any more football. They get to their senior year and they don't want to play any more football.
Yeah.
They want to move on with life, and that's a possibility too.
Coach, I know we ask about Humphrey every week, but just with what he brings to your offense, did you think he would have this kind of success this year? Is that something you've seen in the offseason in the past years?
I thought he was pretty good last year too, so we expected him to be better this year. I don't know if we expected this kind of statistics that he's piling up. I don't know exactly what they are, but he's way ahead of pace, I would guess. And he carries the ball a lot, and he gets hit a lot, and he's not very big, and he's healthy. So he's built different than some other guys that weigh 170 pounds.
And how important has he been to this offense, especially with some of the injuries that you guys have had to overcome on that side of the ball?
Well, our running game has been primary to us continuing to win games since we've had young quarterbacks and hurt quarterbacks playing. And we haven't been able to throw it very well or catch it very well. So there's a lot of pressure on the running backs to play well, but there's a lot of pressure on the offensive line too. We have 3 or 4 really talented running backs in our program. That's a positive. Pump is having the best season of all of them, and he's probably the quickest, fastest one of them. And he has the most experience of all those running backs. And so he's having a really good year. But let's don't make too much out of this, because if the big boys up front don't block for him, he wouldn't be having anywhere close to the kind of year he's having.
Coach, speaking of your O-line, Terry Poole, would you say it's fair to say that he made a huge sort of leap between last year and this year?
I think he's a lot better than he was last year, sure.
What did you guys see out of him coming into the season that made you realize that he would be the guy who would be the good fit at left tackle?
Well, I thought he had the potential. Athletic, he's big and strong, and he's got athletic ability. And since he played all last year, he had the experience factor going in. I mean, you could put a rookie over there, or you could put Pierce Slater over there, but left tackle's a little bit harder because it's the backside of the quarterback and all that. I mean, you know all that stuff. So his experience and his athletic ability put him over there.
Coach,
and he's performed well. Sorry.
You go for it.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Seems like the secondary had one of its better games against Hawaii, especially Naeem McGee. Seems to have kind of a breakout game for him. Was that a case of, you think, playing kind of a below-average offense in Hawaii, or are you seeing the secondary make big strides in practice and in the games?
I think our corners have been good all year. I think our safeties are getting better.
Okay.
And they're much, much better now than they were at the beginning of the season. Now, Hawaii's not, they don't throw the ball and catch the ball very well either. That's why they're a running team. That's why the two teams ran the ball so many times on Saturday night.
Coach, are you going to take it easy with Kaler this week then? Like you kind of mentioned after the game. Is it just going to be a light week for him, or hopefully?
Feely?
Kaler. Quinn Kaler.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a light week for him. We might not even let him throw all week long. He could throw now. Don't get me wrong. He could throw, but having a bye week is probably more critical for him than anybody else on our team, which is important to our team, by the way, since he's our starting quarterback.
Is it safe to say that we haven't seen anywhere close to what you guys had hoped to do with the passing game because of the injuries?
I think the number one injury is Quinn, and then Ezel Ruffin going down, I think really put our passing game back. Not only is he a really good player, but he's an experienced player. And normally young players learn a lot faster if they're watching an experienced player doing it right. Well, since all the pressure's been put on those young receivers, they haven't had an experienced example out there. And I don't think our receivers have improved as quickly as I thought they would or as I hoped they would. I don't think they've improved.
That's what I was going to ask you, too. Is there?
I think they've improved, but not near to the stage that I anticipated they would. And I think some of that has to do with our quarterback being injured and playing a young quarterback. But some of it has to do they didn't have a veteran out there to watch do it.
Yeah.
So, Ezel comes back, I think we'll make big-time improvement with the wide receiver group. Because he'll give us something that we haven't had. And then the other guys will watch what's supposed to be done.
Does it need to get better for you guys to win conference?
Yeah, it has to get a lot better for us to win the conference. Not just a little bit better. It's got to get a lot better for us to win the conference. So Quinn having a week off, that'll help him a lot. And then hopefully Ezel coming back will help our young receivers get better faster.
Coach, Adam Roberts, was he actually diagnosed with a concussion?
He was.
So is he out of practice this week then?
He's out today. They check him, and I think it's he has to go a 24-hour period where he's symptom-free. As of yesterday, he wasn't symptom-free yet. I haven't heard about today. So they check him once a day, and when he's symptom-free, he has to go 24 more hours without doing any physical activity, and then he's cleared. So he'll be cleared by game time. He's a lot better now than he was, or he was a lot better yesterday than he was.
Did you guys take any precautions as a team for the meningitis? Did you have the team vaccinated or?
No, we in a team meeting we talked about if any of them had been at any of the parties she had been at, that they needed to go to the student health center, but we didn't. We didn't send them over there. No.
Okay.
Coach, you mentioned how the running game's been pretty much carrying the offense all season, and then you talk about all the injuries that hurt your team. The offensive line, they haven't suffered a pretty serious injury at all. Is that surprising to you at all? It seems like
that's not surprising. I'm glad they haven't, because offensive lines have to have continuity. But offense, other than I don't know. Offensive lineman is about the safest position on the football field. Okay, I mean there's no safe positions on the football field, none. But it's the safest of the dangerous ones.
That's all the Chargers out there.
Oh. Yeah.
How do you think the Mountain West Conference is shaping up so far this year?
I'm glad you asked that. I think the Mountain West Conference is a mirror of the national picture in football. I mean, there's by what I read in the newspaper, there's 4 teams left, Division I teams left that are undefeated, right? And one of them's Marshall, so they're not going to get in the playoff. And 2 of them are going to play each other here at the end of the year. They're going to play each other. So even if they win all the rest of their games, one of them is not going to be undefeated. So by my calculations, there's going to be 1 undefeated team left in the country, maybe. And by my calculations, there's going to be two lost teams in the national championship playoffs. So what that means is all the teams are getting closer together in abilities, and anybody can beat anybody. And I think that's what happens in our league. Anybody can beat anybody. All you have to do is have some bad officiating, or have a fumble or an interception at the wrong time, and a game that you possibly could have won, you don't win. I mean, and you have to live with those parameters, because every game's going to be close.
Yeah.
Which makes officiating more critical to the outcome of the game.
I mean, it is. It seems just completely wide open in the conference.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
with the wins and losses.
If I had to pick,
already
I'd say
happened.
Colorado State's the best team in the league. They have the best record, and they beat Colorado and they beat Boston College, and they have the best record. They're 6-1, I think. So if I had to pick, they're the best team. But they lost to Boise, and guess what? They haven't been winning by a whole lot. They've been winning, but the scores are awful close.
And Nevada has two really nice wins with BYU and Washington State, and then they have a couple.
And the games they've lost have been really, really close. One was 51-48 or something like that. One, I'm sure their coach would say officiating kept them from putting the other one into overtime. 2 offensive pass interference calls on the same drive with the score 31-24. I would say he thinks officiating had something to do with that game. And they have the best quarterback on our side in the Western Division. They've got the best quarterback.
Still,
and anybody with the best quarterback has a chance to win any game.
Yeah, you still feel pretty strongly about that.
Yeah, he's the best quarterback. And I haven't seen. I know the Colorado State guy's playing really well.
Yeah.
And the Boise State quarterback's playing really well, but I haven't seen them on film. And the best quarterback coming back from last year was the Nevada quarterback, and he's playing up to par. And if your quarterback's playing well, you got a chance to win every game. I mean, it's the same in the NFL. If the quarterback plays well, you could win every game. And he's playing really well.